Our headlines today. Energy bosses are to face pressure from ministers about how they can help customers who are struggling with soaring bills.
The Chancellor and the Business Secretary will press leaders from the energy industry at a meeting this morning. With the average annual bill predicted to be more than £4,000 by January, we'll be taking a look at what extra support might be made available.
An extreme heat warning for parts of England and Wales has come into force, lasting until the end of Sunday.
And temperatures are set to rise widely into the mid-30s, locally as much as 37 Celsius, especially across parts of southern England. So that weather warning could well have impacts on health and infrastructure.
Sharp criticism for the way police forces investigate burglaries, robberies and theft. Most victims aren't getting justice. A major review says it's unacceptable.
Good morning. Tears in Toronto as Serena Williams says goodbye to fans. Playing for the first time since announcing her intention to leave the sport, she was beaten in straight sets at the Canada Open.
A hero's welcome for rugby star Ed Slater as he completes his 350-mile bike ride just weeks after being diagnosed with motor neurone disease.
Well, let's take a look then at some of today's front pages. Let's see what's dominating. Let's start with The Guardian, which leads with a stark warning from former Prime Minister Gordon Brown. He's urged Boris Johnson and the incoming Tory leader to take control of energy firms that will not cut bills. And the Metro, it's as bad as COVID crisis. That, of course, is a headline there on the Metro. Now, energy firms behind the price rises are being threatened with a new windfall tax, says the Eye. Night of the living dread, Martin Lewis calls on politicians to do something about the rising energy crisis, writes the Daily Star. And the Times headline brings attention to Liz Truss signalling that she would give government cash to the poorest to help with energy bills. And the FT says the easing in US inflation has brought hope that the pace of price rises has peaked. And the Daily Telegraph focuses on the unprecedented weather in the UK, saying that we are at exceptional risk of wildfires as temperatures continue to rise. While the Daily Express focuses on the supply chain crisis, which is leaving pharmacists struggling to provide vital medicine. And the Daily Mail sheds lights on a new report which finds victims of burglary are being let down by the police. And then finally, the Daily Mirror then quotes Kate Greville, Ryan Giggs's ex-girlfriend, who told the court that she felt like a slave.
The front page is dominated by warnings over energy bills and the cost of living. Let's take a look at the Metro, which is leading with comments from consumer expert Martin Lewis, who's described the crisis as being as bad as the COVID pandemic in economic terms.
The Guardian carries an intervention from Gordon Brown, the former Labour Prime Minister, who argues energy firms that cannot offer lower bills should be temporarily brought into public ownership. Papers are also featuring an image of Hyde Park in London, of course parched by those soaring temperatures.
The heat is the lead on the front of the Telegraph. The paper says there's an unprecedented risk of wildfires in much of England. Fire services are warning flames could spread to residential areas.
And one of the most read stories on the BBC website this morning is news of multiple shootings which left one person dead and 3 injured. All this happened on the Isle of Skye. A man has been arrested.